In today's video, we're going to show you how to use the remote firing rate demand 135 ohm calibrate feature in the FlexFit combustion controller. 135 ohm firing rate control is not the most accurate when it comes to fine-tuning your firing rate demand signal. With Preferred's FlexFit combustion controller, we've added a calibration feature for the 135 ohm firing rate that allows you to dial in your 0% and your 100% remote span to get a more accurate signal. To access the 135 ohm remote firing rate demand calibrate feature in the FlexFit combustion controller, we need to get into the main menu. Here you see the FlexFit combustion controller front panel. To access the main menu, press the up and down arrows at the same time with the word menu underneath them. Once here, you're going to scroll down to Setup, and from there to 135 ohm calibrate. We're now in the 135 ohm remote firing rate demand calibrate menu. In here, you'll see some decimal numbers, the letters R to B, and a VDC value representing your 100% firing rate signal as well as your 0%. Along the bottom of the display, you'll see what your current remote firing rate demand is. Currently, we are at 4%. For our remote firing rate demand controllers, you'll be familiar with the terminal letters W, R, and B. For our purposes here, we are only concerned with terminals R and terminals B. On the 135 ohm calibrate screen on the FlexFit combustion controller, here you'll see the number 0.25 R to B and 2.70 R to B. This is a voltage signal measured in VDC representing your 0% and your 100% firing rate signal. Today, we're using a Preferred Instruments Chief Dispatcher as our remote firing rate demand controller. On the 135 ohm calibrate screen, you'll see our current firing rate demand is 4%. However, from our Chief Dispatcher, we're currently sending out a 0% or low fire firing rate demand signal. This discrepancy, 4% firing rate demand versus 0% firing rate demand coming from our remote controller, is the whole reason we implemented a 135 ohm calibrate feature in the Preferred FlexFit controller. Opening your panel and accessing the back of the FlexFit combustion controller, you'll see terminals with letters W, R, and B. These are the wiring terminals for your remote firing rate demand. With your meter set to volts DC, you're going to measure voltage between terminals R and B. I have a voltage reading of 2.577 volts DC. And remember, we're currently at what is supposed to be 0% firing rate coming from our remote controller. After you've taken your voltage measurement on terminals R and B on the back of the FlexFit combustion controller, you want to come back to the 135 ohm calibrate screen and enter that value. Remember, for 0% firing rate, the voltage we measured was 2.577 volts DC. On the 135 ohm calibrate screen, you want to scroll down to the line that says VDC equals 0%. Currently, the value is 2.70. We're going to change it to 2.577. In this case, we'll make it 2.58 for rounding. As you can see, making that change adjusted our firing rate signal to the proper 0%. Now, you're going to have to bring the burner to 100% firing rate and make a change to this first line. In some cases, you will have to have your burner firing to do this. In our case today, we do not. We can leave the burner off. On Preferred's Chief Dispatcher, I've since brought the signal up to 100% firing rate. However, as you can see on the FlexFit, it's only registering as 96 to 97% firing rate. Opening your panel and accessing the wiring terminals on the back of the FlexFit combustion controller, we're going to take a voltage measurement on terminals R and B for the second time. Here we measured 0.302 volts DC, and this is representative of what should be our 100% firing rate signal. So after we've taken our second measurement on terminals R to B, we want to come back to the 135 ohm calibrate screen and enter that value on the first line for 100% firing rate. The value we measured was 0.303 volts DC. Currently, we're at 0.25, so we need to change that. So, we entered that value, 0.30, and as you can see, the firing rate went to 99%. As I mentioned in the intro to this video, 135 ohm calibrate technology is not the most accurate thing in the world. In order to properly get 100% firing rate displayed on our screen, we're going to need to adjust that value a little bit more. Let's try making it something like 0.33 volts. As you can see, that little adjustment now properly displays 100% firing rate. And there you have it. That is how to scale your remote firing rate demand signal using the 135 ohm Calibrate feature and the FlexFit combustion controller. For more information on installation and setup of the FlexFit, visit our Preferred Utilities YouTube channel or our website, preferred-mfg.com.